Right,
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pivot to Grow 2020. I am Andrea Hedden, CMO of Marketopia, and I am joined by Matt with ID Agent, and we are so excited to bring you Pivot to Grow 2020.
Absolutely, yeah. So again, for those who don't know me, Matt Solomon, Vice President of Business Development with ID Agent and Kaseya. And yeah, we're super excited to just really try to bring something different to you this entire week. When Andrea and I first got together and we're discussing this concept, we really wanted to bring in thought leaders, some that you've heard in the MSP industry, but also lots of thought leaders that you haven't heard before, because sales and marketing applies across really all different industries, of course. And so we wanted to kind of give different perspectives in kind of short, 1 to 2 hour sessions overall. And yeah, we're really excited. I definitely want to give a shout out to our sponsors as well. We've got the 20 and Tim Conkle and Mark Elliott are going to be speaking later this week. Channel Pro Network is our media sponsor. And then we have some MSP focused social groups, IT Owners Compass, or IT Owners Compass, and everything MSP. So we really appreciate the support from the community. But we really brought this together to, there were so many things going on about COVID-19, and not to say that there won't be some themes around that, but I mean, Andrew, I think really what we talked about is kind of, obviously pivoting from that message to what's next, right? It's kind of, we have to move this forward now as we're starting to get back into, into these sales process, the pipeline, and how we're marketing in this environment.
Absolutely. And I think it really, I know we've said a lot about this event being designed specifically for you, and that's truly what it was. There was an overwhelming amount of conversations that were happening, both, Matt, myself, a lot of the communities that we've partnered with around how do we market differently? We don't have the excuse anymore of just going to events and doing the things the same way we have the entire, sometimes the entire time you've been in business. Others of you who are on the line are very sophisticated in marketing and sales and want to figure out how you can even go further and catapult your business after this. So we said, you know what, let's do something a little different. Let's get on some other types of voices in the space that can just talk purely about sales and marketing. So that's what you're going to hear over the next week, starting today, and I'll share with you who we're going to hear first, but it's going to be great. So stick with us through the entire event. Like we've been saying, put this link, it's the same link. We tried to make this as easy for you as possible. Bookmark this, and you will be able to, stay with us throughout the whole entire week. We've got some fun things coming up from you that we will talk more about, and Matt and I will be with you the entire time hosting it for you. So you can be definitely excited about that. And if you have specific questions that you want us to answer, just send us a note and we'll make sure that we address it in between when we're chatting with each other. But first up, to kick off the event, we have Terry Hedden. Many of you might know Terry Hedden. He definitely has been a part of many events speaking over the past few years, and he has been an MSP. Prior to that was with Ernst & Young and consulting with large tech firms and implementing huge projects across the world. He's owned 9 companies. He obviously is married to someone pretty amazing. He is my husband, another half. But he will share with you about growth. That's what we're talking about. So he's going to talk about growing and how to grow through this, and he'll dig deep and answer any questions that you might have. So he is the CEO of Marketopia, and I will let you take it away, Terry.
Awesome, and I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to share. It's an honor to help, honestly, help everyone get through this challenging time. A lot of us kind of are going into this in different places, right? Where some of us are extremely pessimistic. We feel like this whole COVID thing is going to be with us for a long time, and is going to have a devastating impact on the channel. Others think, it's completely bunk and it's really nothing, and the media and the politicians are making something out of nothing. And then a lot of us are kind of in the middle where we don't really know what to think, and it kind of depends on what TV channel you watch as to how big of a deal this really is. So today really what we're going to talk about is how we can go from where we were a month ago, right, where everything was closed, everything was dire. There was so many unknowns that we really didn't know where we were. Maybe that's 2 months ago for most of us, right? Where we just didn't know. We couldn't tell kind of where the world was going to go, where the economy was going to go, and frankly, where we could survive and thrive, or whether we would survive and thrive. So, the reality is, I've been around a while. I've been an entrepreneur for 31 years. I started when I was 1 year old, just playing. I started when I was 14 years old, and I've been through a number of different economic cycles, and frankly, just went through one in a very similar field, right, where it felt like the economy sort of fell out from underneath us. I was in Florida, sort of ground zero, where almost all real estate lost more than 50% of its value. Some customers struggled, others didn't. And frankly, I got a lot of experience. I was kind of prepared for this. I did have a career with Ernst & Young where I helped Fortune 100 companies prepare for and manage through disasters and major issues. So my MSP was basically built to withstand economic forces. And obviously no one's impervious. It was a tough time. But the nice thing about kind of where I was is that I was able to not just survive the economic crisis that occurred in 2008 and 2009, but my revenue continued to go up. My customers continued to pay their bills. I continued to hire. In fact, I was hiring engineers that were being fired by my competitors. And it was a beautiful thing, right? At the end of the day, the people who trusted me and depended on me, the employees, could continue to rely on their paycheck. The customers that depended on me to have the great engineers and have the support regardless of what's going on were able to count on me. And frankly, when it came time to sell the business, I really stood out, right? Everyone faced this huge drop in revenue. A lot of businesses went under. One of our biggest competitors laid off half of their staff 2 times in the course of a year. And here I was growing revenue and profit through the disaster. And what ended up happening was the valuation of my business went up drastically when they realized this, right? When they understood how good our contracts were and how smartly we managed the revenue and how we organized our offering to kind of help us withstand fluctuations in the economy, the valuation of the company doubled, right? And so my goal today is to really help you get there, right? Whether you just want to provide a great security for your employees or your family, if you're trying to improve the valuation of your business, we're going to go through a number of different things today to really kind of help you get there, help you get where I was, and frankly, where I want everyone in our business to be. First of all, let's not belittle what's going on, right? It's a major thing. In fact, it's even worse than the financial crisis of 2009, where people looked at a GDP contraction of 0.1%, whereas they're looking at a 3% now. But I want you to kind of look at the very far right of that, right? So no matter where you are today, no matter what city you're in and how dire it feels at this point, right? It doesn't matter what channel you're watching on TV and what you see them saying. Understand that everyone believes we're going to come out of this, right? Even the most pessimistic people feel like we're going to manage our way through this. In fact, most people are starting to realize that those pessimistic projections that were there not long ago are not going to come true, right? Whether you're talking about the number of deaths or the number of infections or the economic impact, everything right now is looking as though the best case scenario is a lot more likely than the worst case scenario. In fact, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is projecting a 5.6% growth in the economy over the next year, right? Huge numbers, right? 5.6% growth is an extraordinary number. And if you look at the graph here, it's higher than we've seen since before this chart started in 1980, right? 5.6% global growth is really incredible and something that we can look forward to. And I want you to kind of keep that perspective in mind, because so many of the winners are going to be decided by how they respond to where they are right now, right? The next generation of winners is going to be determined by the actions that people take today. And our goal is frankly to make you one of those winners. There's some great studies that were done by Forrester, and one that I thought was really intriguing was the different scenarios that people thought could happen out of this, right? This study came earlier by the great Jay McBain and his team there at Forrester, and they were kind of looking at what the most likely scenarios were. And I literally, when this study came out, I was very interested in people's perspectives on it, right? Did they match my own? How was mine influenced by the people I was surrounding myself with or the news channels that I was watching? And what I found was that there's a very stark difference between people's perspectives, right? Some people are literally incredibly pessimistic and some people are really optimistic. In fact, the scenario that I thought would come true, that is seemingly coming true, is what they called the best case scenario, that it was only a 30% probability. No one knew how this was all going to play out, but I didn't see it ending like people were saying it could, right? I didn't believe that our globe, humankind, working toward a common goal couldn't defeat this enemy, right? Even the United States alone has never found an enemy it can't beat, perhaps other than itself sometimes. But globally speaking, you start unifying all those scientists and have everyone working, all the global drug companies, the scientists, the doctors, all the people that were going after this, the fact that they couldn't tackle something like coronavirus in an amount of time that was seemingly impossible with all the technologies and the advances that we have right now, I didn't believe it. I also believe that it's a virus. I thought it was a virus. And the reality is viruses have differences, but they also have common themes, right? And what has ended up happening is that the best case scenario is seemingly most likeliness. The probability has shifted toward everything being a lot better than people thought. And why that's so important is that the snapback is expected to be much stronger than people expecting. I saw people expecting a V, right? A V-shaped recovery where you drop quickly and rise quickly. I saw people looking at a U where it spent some time kind of tumbling on the bottom. And then some people even were saying more like an L, like, listen, there's a new normal, which is devastation. We're all going to be, Great Depression is here again. We're going to be stuck in our houses for a year or two. And therefore the economy is going to look more like an L, right? Where it drops quickly and then stays at the bottom. Well, the beautiful thing is that there's those pessimistic forecasts have proven to be incorrect so far, and everything is really looking much brighter. And why that's so important for us to understand is that all of our perspectives may not be the same, right? Some of us may be watching different news channels or may have more of a political preference, or all of us may not have common beliefs or levels of optimism. Some of us may have had this hit really home, right? Maybe someone in our family or our significant other, even ourselves, were impacted. Therefore, we tend to be more pessimistic. Well, if you step back at this whole thing, you realize that things are looking a lot better than they were 60 days ago and 30 days ago, right? The future of our country and the global economy seems to be a lot brighter. And there are a lot of economists that are saying something very similar to me. Another thing you're seeing is that opportunity abounds, right? There's no shortage of great opportunity. If you're in the recreation or travel industry, if you are in the subway business, or you're in the hotel or hospitality, or maybe an airline, yeah, your perspective is very different. But if you look at the left side of this chart, you'll notice a lot of industries are impacted, some of which much worse than the other, but none of them are impacted more than 20%, right? So yeah, it seems dire, but I was just traveling last week, and the hotel was booming, right? People were in the cafes, people were not wearing masks, the hotel was full, people were optimistic and happy, people were buying mojitos and margaritas and having a good time, right? The reality is that it's nowhere near as dire as what some may expect, right? There are some people in this country that would assume the hotels are empty, and guess what? They're not. But the beautiful part of this graph is on the right side, right? IT services. Guess what? People are expecting it to grow in this economy, right? I know a lot of technology companies. I work and mentor a lot of different technology companies, MSPs of ours, consulting firms. And by and large, they're doing extremely well, right? Their business is up, their ticket count is up, especially at the beginning of this as they migrated all their customers to remote. Well, now they're looking at huge opportunities, right? If people are going to stand up home offices, that's opportunities for hardware, software, and services, cloud services, right? The dispersion of employees has created security risks, right? So people like IDH all of a sudden look like must-haves in our product portfolio, right? There's just a lot more opportunity than it felt like a short time ago. So the people are expecting growth in our industry. I'm expecting growth in our industry. The change of the economy, the work-life balance or the work from home trend that has certainly accelerated over the last 90 days benefits MSPs. It doesn't hurt anyone. In fact, it could increase the size of the network exponentially, because 100 individuals in one office had one network to manage. 100 individuals working from home has 100 networks to manage. So a tremendous amount of opportunity here. And if you play your cards right, your growth rate will be even greater than what you appear on this graph, because there are some people who aren't adapting, who aren't pivoting, who are suffering right now and making bad decisions, including doing nothing, and suffering the consequences. So let's have it to where everyone on this call is on the high end of that. They're bringing up that average. They're helping that average of 4% or so growth double, so that we can offset some of the people that are not on this call that are making bad business decisions. Another thing that I've seen is that the people's perspective varies wildly based on where they are, right? If you're in Manhattan, your perspective on the world is very different than if you're in North Dakota or Montana, right? The reality is the virus is not, it goes against humankind, equally, right? There's no, religious preference or gender or ethnicity that's more susceptible than others. But geographically speaking, a lot of places have been spared almost all of the consequences of this, right? Even in my home state of Florida, people thought it was going to be much worse. They were calling for the second New York. Guess what? It's not like that, and it won't be like that. There are benefits and differences in the way Florida manages itself. For instance, we don't have subways to speak of in Florida, right? New Yorkers tend to pack themselves into subways to go back and forth to work. There are simply differences. And what you can see on this chart is that almost every state in the union is either reopened, almost reopened, or partially reopening, right? Very few places are not in the stage of reopening. And what we're seeing is that this pace is accelerating. People are rapidly opening things up when the surge of cases has not happened. So it's creating an incredible amount of opportunity for people to take advantage of it, right? Your comeback is there. The market is coming back, therefore you're coming back. And if you play your cards right and become a true leader in the space, all of a sudden you'll find that your future changes drastically, right? You'll have the opportunity to become a true leader. Leading companies find the balance between now and next and beyond. They're not so overcome with the current state of affairs. They're not staring at the news 23 hours a day and becoming paralyzed in what's going on, right? They're taking a percentage of their time and they're focusing on the now. How are we going to get our employees remotely? How are we going to survive? How are we going to continue to support our customers? Guess what? That involves technology. That involves great things for our industry. Dealing with the here and now is profitable for us. Then you're going to have people looking short term, right? What's going to happen between now and say the end of the year? Well, guess what? Those customers that were closed-minded to innovation, that maybe were anti-cloud or anti-managed services, or maybe thought that the bad things couldn't happen to their business. Maybe they're impervious to disasters and therefore backup and disaster recovery wasn't necessary for them. Guess what? They've been humbled. They've been humbled. That's going to create opportunities for, as soon as we snap back to the office, they're going to say, you know what, let's bring back that BUDR proposal. Let's go get that dark web security proposal back out of the mothballs and let's revisit it, because you know what, we are susceptible to problems, right? And then finally, long-term, those people who had preconceived notions, maybe that cloud security was not as good as premise security, or maybe hourly support, pay by the hour was not as good or was worse than managed services. Guess what? Their perspectives are changing. We've all been humbled. We've all been given a reality check. We've all been given time to think. And frankly, we've all felt vulnerable. So we are all, as a collective society, looking to people like MSPs, those strategic advisors that know how to leverage technology to improve the security, stability, profitability of our businesses. So they're looking for people just like us. There was a great article that was done by my alma mater, Ernst & Young, and it rang true to me because it's exactly the kind of article that I would have written, sort of thought leadership on how do you respond in something like this, right? And frankly, we see it. We see it on Marketopia. We see companies like ID Agent who's like, listen, my competitors are scared. They're pulling back. We're going to hit the gas pedal. We're going to emerge from this a leader. So what they're doing is first, obviously, reacting and responding. This is a great chart from Gartner that kind of helps you understand the thought leadership that you have to go through to get to where we want you to be, sort of achieving your growth goals despite the crisis and perhaps even because of the crisis, right? We all have to respond. We had to really quickly become completely virtual as a company, and the ability to support our customers being virtual, which meant implementing or using cloud technologies in an incredible way and shoring up really short-term major security risks. And then we quickly can pivot to phase two, right? What's our new situation? And I think as an industry, we've done that in the last 60 days. We are truly in it. We're succeeding. Our customers are being served. We are making money by and large. In fact, the country helped us, right? The PPP program, the loan forgiveness, a lot of us got 6, maybe even 7 figures worth of support from the US government. In fact, $3 trillion was pumped in the economy, which may not sound like a lot because we've sort of become numb to big numbers, but $3 trillion is roughly 10% of the entire gross domestic product of the United States, right? 10% of the GDP. So business didn't shut down. We just inserted another 10% of GDP in the cash of very, very ambitious entrepreneurial people who are going to take that investment or take that money and invest it in their success, in their industry success, and their employee success. They're not blowing it, right? They're not giving it to people who are blowing it. They're giving it to entrepreneurs that are going to reinvest it. They're getting it to people who need the money a lot to pay their bills, to make sure that they're at least at ground level as things start to reopen, right? So they're looking to rebound. And then phase 4, this is where we want to be, right? The path between where we are now and our ultimate dream should not have been shaken by what has happened. In fact, it should be accelerated. Not only did we survive a major problem, we've made changes. We've shown that we can adapt. Our customers have been giving a reality check. Our weaker competitors are probably going away. All of this is going to combine to create incredible opportunities for us to accelerate our growth by marketing when others aren't, and therefore getting all of that brand equity and all that attention to be benefiting us. We may be acquiring small business. We may be leveraging new technologies like ID Agent, or maybe leveraging third parties like Marketopia to really accelerate our growth toward achieving our goals. We might be taking that PPP money, say you got 100,000. Well, you can turn that 100,000 into $1 million. You can turn that $100,000 into a $5 million exit for your business in the next 36 months. How do you do that? Number 1, be a leader. Stop getting on social media and being a negative Nancy. Don't pile into that. People are attracted to positivity. People want to be around winners and people that are positive, right? So in your personal life, be a leader there, right? Stop talking about the worst case scenario. Start talking about the best case scenario. Stop thinking about the worst case scenario and prepare for the best case scenario, right? Don't bring your family down, bring your family up. Bring your friends down, bring your families up. Be a leader at home. Don't be that person who's always talking about the worst case scenario. Even if you're fearful and insecure, be confident, be a leader. Also be a leader to your vendors, right? There are a lot of people who are trashing their reputation, who are literally hanging their vendors out to dry, refusing to pay bills when they can, refusing to honor contracts when they can. Well, that says a lot about you. If you're willing to sacrifice your morals and the ethics the first time things are a challenge, that reflects on your character as a person, right? That reflects on you as a human being. That reflects on you and your business, right? People are going to be less apt to do things for you. In fact, karma is going to be against you because maybe you're lying, cheating, or taking advantage of what your vendors are willing to do to help you. Be a leader to your clients, right? Don't just let all of your customers out of their contracts. That's foolish. All you're doing is putting your clients' goals, which not necessarily their needs, but their goals, ahead of those of your family, of your business, of your employees, right? You're not doing your job as a leader if all of a sudden you cut off all of your service and stop billing clients. All you're doing is hurting your own people, your family, your friends, your business to help your customers, which the reality of this is, as we looked on that chart, not everybody is hurting. Not everybody needs your help, but everyone's going to ask for it because everyone's trying to take advantage of the situation. And then finally, be a leader to your employees. Don't succumb to fear. Be a leader. Help lead them out. You've got to ensure that your collective employees come together and work smarter and work harder to ensure that you elevate out of this, that you accelerate through this and out of this, that you emerge the next generation of business, right? And then finally, number 5, lead your business. Understand that as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a president, as a senior level executive at a technology company, you have a responsibility to your company. You have a fiduciary responsibility to your business, right? You were blessed with the opportunity to be a leader. That has responsibility that comes with it. So don't take the easy path, take the best path. Don't take the conservative approach, take the best approach. Don't take the approach that seems safe today. Take the approach that seems best over the long term. You've got to be a leader. If you're not a leader, your business will be one of the ones that doesn't make it. Your business will be one of the ones acquired, not acquiring. right? Your dreams are going to go up in smoke because you're going to sabotage everything that you've worked so hard to do. Second thing you have to do is plan. To fail to plan is to plan to fail. It's extremely important that you go into every situation with the goal of planning what you're going to do, right? Understand what exactly you're trying to do. Another quote from that ENY article: leaders who are splitting their effort between recovery and readiness will be better prepared for a return to economic prosperity and will better endure the near to immediate term. That's right. You want to focus on the here and now. It's important. You have to survive this. You have to manage the current situation. But the best are splitting that time with focus on the future. What do we want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? How can we make decisions now and make investments now that are going to help us accelerate the path in which we're taking to achieve our dreams, right? How can we leverage the COVID situation as a trampoline instead of quicksand? How do we come out of this stronger and better equipped? So what do you have to do? Honestly, you have to think. And this is, I know sounds so simple, but a lot of us are so caught up in the day-to-day, right? We're working in our business, not on our business. We're afraid, we're watching TV, we're kind of sucked into politics, we're sucked into fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We're not really thinking, right? Do you honestly believe that all of the world's scientists, doctors, and medical professionals working together toward a common enemy can't overcome something as simple as the virus, right? This isn't 1918. There's all these people that are talking about 1918. I'm like, it's not 1918, right? We've discovered a lot since 1918. It's a different world. So are you really thinking about what's going to happen? Or are you letting your preconceived notions, your fears, your uncertainties, your doubts, maybe what you're watching on TV affect your business? What do? You got to think about your immediate term, right? How are we going to survive today? How are we going to get our employees working? How are we going to get invoices out? How are we going to keep invoices tight so that we get paid so we don't have cash flow problems? What are we going to do with our PPP money? Are we going to blow it on a boat or maybe some sort of expense? Or are we going to invest that money or save it and prepare for that short-term investment that we're going to make, right? Maybe you're saying, listen, I got $1 million. If I give $100,000 to 10 different smaller MSPs, which a lot of MSPs would sell for $100,000 down payment. If you do that, and all of a sudden by 10 smaller MSPs, you could emerge from this a regional powerhouse. You could emerge from this with incredible sales capabilities and service capabilities. You could expand your product portfolio, your geographic reach, your horsepower in sales, your horsepower in service. You could emerge from this a much better entity. And that's the kind of thing that you should do, right? Don't get so caught up in the here and now that you're not focused on tomorrow. In fact, you've got to capitalize on this opportunity. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And then long-term, that should not change. Your goals, your dreams should be written in ink, not pencil. You shouldn't throw them away at the first sign of fear, right? When the water starts to rise, you got to paddle harder. You've got to be smarter with your decision-making, right? You don't want to let your long-term dreams hurt you unless you're one of those people who maybe were resistant to change. Maybe you've been resistant to marketing your business, resistant to investing in sales. Maybe you're resistant to taking risks. Maybe you've hesitated to adopt cloud and now you realize you should have a long time ago. Guess what? It's not too late. The reality is, while it would have been wonderful for you to jump on that bandwagon 10 years ago, the reality is there's no better time than 10 years ago than today. Waiting, every day you wait just takes your future and pushes it out further. And so what do I mean by that? Right? We want to be smart about our decision making. There's a lot of brilliant people in the channel. In fact, I've been a part of a lot of industries, and I've never seen an industry that is so filled with brilliant, passionate people that genuinely care about their customers, that care about doing a great job, care about technology, and love what they do. Right? So let this slide be a reminder to you that you need to work on your business. You need to think and plan and act as a business owner and leader. Right? Don't get caught up in the end of the day. Don't let your fear, uncertainty, and doubt lead you to making bad decisions. Think about how you're going to emerge from this stronger. Think about the smart moves from your business in the short term, medium term, and long term, and start putting chips on the table. Be smart about it, but go ahead and make those offers. Hire those people. We'll talk about how you can improve performance in just a minute, but understand that you have to make plays. Do not get stuck in quicksand and start sinking, right? Doing nothing is not an option. Doing nothing is not an option. We know the world changed. We know the weak are weaker. We know the strong are making plays to get stronger. We know that the decisions we make today will determine our tomorrow. So think about what you need to do, plan your course of action, and then execute on it, right? Warren Buffett once said that every decade or so, dark clouds will fill the economic skies, and they will briefly rain gold, briefly. It's so important because the best time to make a decision is not when it becomes easy. In fact, the most brilliant decisions that Warren Buffett ever made were at the height of fear, when other people were being irrational. He was willing to put money on the table when everyone else was running. Therefore, he paid a lower price point. Guess what? That time is now. That time was 60 days ago, 30 days ago, and today. If you wait to put your chips on the table for 90 days or 180 days, you will pay a premium. You will miss the best opportunities, right? In fact, you're going to be making your investments when everyone else feels it's safe to do so. The true leaders are the ones that are making the investments prior to that. They're getting their marketing message out there, so when people need technology, they think of their firm. When people, they're investing in people, they're investing in process changes, and they're investing in technology. By people, guess what? There has never been a greater time in history to hire amazing people. I'll go into that in a second. Processes. There's never been a better time in the history of your company to work on improving your processes, procedures, and controls, right? You have more time now to work on your business than you ever have. We all swallowed a tremendous amount of service tickets as we helped people, our clients, get remote. The reality now is that's over. I've seen videos on social media of people I respect a tremendous amount, that are taking this downtime, this sort of lighter than normal volume, as an opportunity to take over personal things at home. Maybe take extra long vacations, or maybe take care of personal errands. The reality is the best and brightest are using this time to work on their business when they don't have to work in their business. They have time to improve processes, read the E-Myth, right? They have time to invest in improving themselves as a leader and improving their business. They're looking at new technology, whether it's a PSA or an RMM tool, or maybe it's some sort of a security platform. People are looking at technology now and say, how can I be smarter with it, right? I was penny wise, pound foolish because money was tight, but now with PPP, I have extra money. Maybe I bought a solution because it was cheap, not because it was best. Now I have the time to improve it. And then they look at their product portfolio and say, listen, what technologies should we be adopting? Should we be more cloud-centric? Should we have more collaboration services? Should we maybe learn about SharePoint development, or sort of improve our ability to take higher level services? Maybe become more of a consultant, a CIO, an advisor, maybe even getting into line of business applications like ERP and CRM, right? How can we get smarter with the way we use technology and the technology that we help other people use? Let's go back to the people side. In your lifetime, in fact, no one on this call and no one's parents, grandparents, or great-grandparents have ever had the opportunity that we have right now. This is the single best time in history to find amazing people, right? 20, 30 million people unemployed, right? This is a chart of what's happening right now, right? The number of net new employees is dropping drastically. In fact, this chart will become back down to where it was very soon, right? People the jobs are coming back very, very quickly now. Millions a week, right? Almost 1 million people a day were losing their job at one point. Now almost 1 million people a day are becoming rehired, right? This chart will reverse. What does that mean? 90 days ago, if you wanted to hire an A player, they had a job. You had to pull them out of their current employer. Those people, a lot of businesses were forced to reduce headcount, either because their ownership was scared, they didn't have the cash, or maybe they were one of those industries that had a tremendous amount of impact, right? Regardless, there's no more powerful thing to do than to call someone who's pessimistic, who got laid off, that is an A player, and offer them a job. There has never been a better time for a small business to find amazing people looking for work. This window of opportunity is going to change very quickly. In the next 60 days, you're going to see most of these jobs be recreated. the end of the temporary boost to unemployment compensation is going to end, which is going to bring back the rest of the labor market. So as a leader, it's extremely important. And I would tell you that the number one most important thing you can do is to invest in the future of your business. And you can always buy a new email campaign. It may not be equally effective as it is today, but you can always execute one. But there's never been a better time to find amazing people than right now. You will never have more unemployed people in your life than right now. So go out there. If you emerge from this entire COVID situation with a team stacked with A players, all of a sudden you will see your team becoming a wind at your back, a gale force wind that's helping you achieve your goals. So the leaders on this call need to be assessing their team and finding opportunities to upgrade their talent, right? Emerge from this with a team full of A players. We should be improving our processes. The book E-Myth and E-Myth Revisited were excellent things, excellent books in terms of they helped you understand the importance of institutionalization of knowledge, optimizing processes, right? I used to do this for companies like General Electric and Dell Computer all over the globe. And you'd be amazed at what kind of impact you can have in terms of the efficiency, profitability, and success of a company by getting A players on the bus and improving the way they work. And then finally, improve the technology that you're using internally. Now is a great time to adopt the new technology. You have the time to assess and the time to buy. They're more apt to strike a deal with you because everyone's trying to grow revenue right now. And then finally, you've never had a better time to implement it and train your team. Now is when you should be investing in better technology internally. Marketopia, in fact, is literally reinventing itself. We're improving the operating system by which we market, the operating system by which we collaborate with our clients. We are literally investing in technology because we know that if we shore up the foundation right now when we can, we're going to be more equipped to succeed going forward. And then finally, improve your product and service offering. Now is a great time to adopt new technologies. You've been maybe in denial about some of the trends out there, whether it's cloud computing or mobile mobility or any of the more kind of cutting edge things. The reality is now is a great time. You've been humbled. Your clients have been humbled. No one's as open-minded as they are today. Now is a great time to adopt new technologies, leverage new ways to get customers, leverage new technologies to support your client base. And then 4, this is the downside, I guess, right? The reality is nothing worth having is free. Nothing, right? Matter of fact, nothing is free. There's a consequence to everything. A lot of times we tend to get short-sighted in our decision-making and we make bad decisions. We do what's cheap or free. Sam Walton, there's a little company called Walmart. It's been fairly successful on a global basis, well, at least here in St. Petersburg. When asked, what do you think about a recession? Sam Walton responded, I thought about it and decided not to participate. This is exactly your attitude. Your future is the culmination of all of your decisions that you make. So if you make the decision to not participate in a recession, you're much less likely to be impacted by it. Right? You're going to leverage every opportunity. There's opportunity in every situation. In fact, in 1920s, Kellogg's leapfrogged its competitors by investing in a recession, by investing in innovation and marketing. Same thing in Toyota in 1996, 2009. Amazon, a little company called Amazon came out and really made a mark for itself. Why? We companies are fearful. They contract, they pull back, right? They're afraid. Leaders emerge in crisis like this, right? They literally are out there doubling, tripling, quadrupling what they're doing. They're going to emerge from this stronger and better equipped to succeed, right? They're going to be the next Amazon. Well, guess what? On a smaller level, that's you. That's you. The decisions you make today will determine whether your local market or your state or your region of the country or world, you will determine whether you're the next leader, right? So what do you have to do? Understand that everybody should define and document their goals, right? That plan to fail, fail to plan. You've got to document what your goal is. What's your vision? Where do you want to be in 5, 10, 20 years? What those revenue numbers are. You've got to calculate the number of clients that takes, right? We're going to take the dreams we have and turn them into tactical goals. You know by your close ratio, so you can get the clients you need by just dividing your average client revenue by your revenue goals to determine how many new clients you need on an annual basis. Divide that by your close ratio to get the number of leads that you need, and then work with a marketing plan, a marketing company or team to achieve that goal. If you need 27 leads a month to achieve your goal, understand that that's not just possible, it's likely and in fact almost guaranteed. If you do what it takes to achieve your goal, you will achieve it. Now, you can take this entire program here and do the same thing in every aspect of your business. Whether you're talking about people, you can define by the goals in the people side, the goals would be, who are my B players? Who are my C players, right? Who needs to be upgraded? You can go through this plan and invest what it takes to achieve that goal, right? Invest what it takes to achieve your dreams. In fact, if you do that, you're going to turn your dreams into a reality. You're going to do what it takes to achieve them. So marketing is one of those areas that a lot of MSPs struggle with, right? We're quick to buy a tool. We're quick to hire an engineer, slow to hire a salesperson or pay what it takes to get a lead, right? So go through this activity for yourself. Make sure that your company's goals are evident in the actions that you're taking. Make sure you're doing what it takes to achieve those goals, right? So you're going to do the same thing on your people. You're going to do the same thing on your processes. What processes need to be worked on? What are you going to do to achieve them? You're going to invest the time, talent, and treasure that it takes to achieve those goals. You're going to do what it takes to improve upon your business. So where it comes to the kind of the theme to this conference. The reality is the world has changed. You've been given a reality check. Most of us have been given 2 months, maybe more, of quiet or quieter time to kind of rethink where we are. A lot of us realize that maybe we weren't on the path that led to prosperity. We weren't doing what it takes to succeed. In fact, we were so busy in the grind, working in our business that we're no closer to where we want to be than we were a year ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago. Maybe you've been in this business for 10 years or 20 years. Maybe you're one of those people who has struggled to do the right thing. Well, let this be your wake-up call. Let this be the opportunity for you to sit back and be honest with yourself, be honest with your family, your employees, and your customers. Be honest with your weakness. The reality is the most successful leaders in the world are not the kind of people who know all the answers or think they know all the answers. They're the humble ones. Let this experience humble you. Let this experience cause you to reflect on where you are today, what got you there, where the world is going, what changes are being made to the world right now, right? What are we going to do as a country? What are you going to do as a community, as a business, as a market to make your future brighter than your past, to help you march toward your goals rather than running in place or even worse, running backwards? Maybe a lot of us realize that we're not on the path that we want. Maybe if we wanted to sell our business when we hit 50 years old or 60 years old, but we needed to be worth what we needed to be worth to achieve that goal, right? A lot of us don't have the dream of just shutting down our business at some point in the future. I don't know any entrepreneur who's invested the blood, sweat, and tears necessary to start a business and say, you know what I'm really hoping is that I'd be the last one out the door and I lock the door and I shut it down and it's my life's work and it's over. I just want to end it. Not one person thinks that way. We may be dreaming about selling our business to our employees, selling it to a strategic investor for 10 times revenue. We may be interested in giving it to our family, maybe our children or our grandchildren, right? We all have dreams, we all have goals, and a lot of us have been given a reality check and a pause point in life that allows us to reassess where we are and the path that we're on. A lot of us are realizing that we need to pivot to grow. We need to pivot to achieve our goals. Let today be that day. Jack Welch once said that never miss out on an opportunity like a good recession. Now, I know that sounds kind of curt right now, right? There's no such thing as a good recession. It hurts people. Guess what? Winners win. Winners look at things like recessions as opportunities. Optimistic people who see challenges and see bright lights instead of dark places, right? If they have fear, uncertainties, and doubt, they pull themselves out. They see everything as a glass half full. What does that lead them to do? It leads them to think, to plan, to invest what it takes to achieve their goals, to ensure that their future does not match their past. They're going to take advantage of the opportunity to capitalize on the market opportunity that's with us today. There are a lot of us out there that maybe have realized that we made some bad business decisions. Maybe we have our infrastructure who's not strong enough to scale our business. Our systems aren't good enough. Maybe our people aren't good enough. Maybe our processes are built on the backs of people instead of institutionalized and proven processes that we know generate the ideal result. A lot of us have been given a reality check that you can't just milk your existing customers and achieve your goals. You can't depend on word of mouth for your marketing strategy, right? You know that word of mouth referrals are not predictable. They've probably proven themselves that when you needed new customers the most, word of mouth referrals didn't exist, right? You need to replace the customers that you've lost, or the customers that have shrunk, or the customers you will lose or will shrink in the next 90 days. And all of us have those. You have to capitalize on this opportunity. There's never been a better time to make an acquisition than now. There's never been a better opportunity to hire an A player than now. There's never been a better opportunity to work on our business and start doing what it takes to achieve our goals than right now. Why is that? Because bright days are ahead. Prosperity and economic growth will follow what we're going through now, and there is no doubt that it's a challenging time. The last 60 days and probably the next 30 are going to be difficult. Guess what, though? It's brighter than it was 60 days ago. There's exponentially more optimism in the air than there was 60 days ago. The worst case scenario is not playing out. The fear that people are trying to instill in you to further their own agenda is proven to be based on something that is not true. The truth was nowhere near as bad as people wanted you to think because they had an agenda for you. Your agenda for yourself should be success, for growth, for achievement of goals, for achievement of dreams. The winter is here, but the spring is soon. It's starting to sprout right now. Now is when you need to be out there, preparing for it, capitalizing on it, taking advantage of the fear in some people to help you and your business, your employees, and your customers and your family. Make those investments. Invest the dollars, the time, the energy to get the right people, to improve the right processes, and to improve the technologies. Make sure that you come out of this stronger than when you went in. In fact, I want to leave you with this thought. A lot of us kind of went into this business with a dream of what it would be like, right? What would it be like to be an entrepreneur? I'd have more time for my family. I'd be able to attend all of my kids' performances. I'd be able to provide for my parents, provide for my family. I'd have a beach house, a mountain cabin, and something in the middle. I had dreams about what my life would be, about what it would be like to be an entrepreneur, for how much I'd sell my business for, how successful the business would be, how much opportunity I could provide for the people who entrusted their time and energy in me. We all had a dream about what that can be, but a lot of us kind of get stuck in the rut. We lost track of our dream. We aren't doing what it takes to achieve our dream. We're not marching toward our dream. In fact, a lot of us have kind of almost forgotten what that dream is. So I want to challenge you with this. Remember that dream. Remember that dream. Write down the new dream. Write it down. Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What's it going to take to achieve that dream? Start building that plan. If you believe in yourself and believe in your team and believe in your ideas and stop being fearful about what could happen bad and start being optimistic about what could happen good. Believe in yourself, believe in your decision, believe in your partners, believe in the employees that you entrust to do their job. If you create that dream and you believe in other people and you do what it takes to achieve the goal, you invest the time and energy and money that it takes to achieve your goals, you will achieve them. Your future will be bright. You will achieve your goals. Over the next 5 days, you're going to learn a tremendous amount from some brilliant people. I want you to take that and form that into your dream. I want you to look at the people who've been talking to you and that are giving you the knowledge that they've got through years of experience and research, through success and failure, to allow you to believe in them, believe in what they're saying and what they're doing and how they're helping people, and then follow that with the investment of your time, energy, talent, and treasure, right? So that you achieve your goal. Your expectations are achieved. Your dreams are achieved. In fact, if you're not doing what it takes to achieve your dream, then it's a fantasy. But if you do what it takes to achieve your dream, it will become an expectation. With that, we'll open it up to questions.
All right, Terry, thank you so much. That was a great presentation. It's the first time I've heard that, so that was really cool to see. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So thank you for teeing it off, Terry. Obviously, it's the first time we've seen it because, like we keep saying, you know, Matt, you and I, everything that is inside of this event is tailored for every single person watching it. So we really appreciate that, Terry. Obviously, I have a front row seat to you not only speaking these type of truths, but I watch you lead by example in every single thing. I know you threw in a couple of examples that we do at Marketopia because we have been doing many, if not all, or at least attempting to each of the phases that you've talked through. So I really appreciate you sharing that with everyone. And if everybody is not pumped up, I don't know what is going to pump you up for the rest of this event. So thank you for that. And then one of the things I want to do, we are going to launch a couple of polls. So you did a lot of talking about, obviously, marketing and sales and 5 quick and easy actionable steps. Now there are some polls that are going to jump up on everyone's screens. And I'm interested to hear your take, Terry, on what comes of these. So the first one you're going to see is, how has COVID-19 impacted your business? So reply to that. And I would love to see as many of you can jump on and reply. It gives you a really good idea of where you stand in the mix. And, you know, one answer is there's a dramatic decline. Another is little to no impact at all in revenue. And then another is there's an increase. So answer that one and then move on to how much you're actually investing in marketing. So that's the number 2 question. So what we promote is 3 to 10% of your revenue should be put back into marketing and invested in your business. So answer that one for us. Yes, you are investing the suggested 3 to 10%. No, you're investing, but it's lower than 3 to 10. Yes, it's more than 10 actually. So you're really going big, or you don't spend on marketing at all. And I know I talked to many MSPs where they do fall into that last one. So it's anonymous. Don't be embarrassed. Answer honestly, because we really want to make sure that we're getting a good feel for where everyone stands. Because again, this isn't just a one-time event. We're going to go out and build things for you post-event to really help. And then the third one, so if you continue down after you answer the first 2, the third one is about, where are you getting your leads from today? Where's your biggest source of leads? Is it SEO and web? Is it SEM and PPC? Is it referrals? Outbound calling? Is it vendor referrals or other? There's something else. So while we're waiting on everybody to answer, Terry, jump into a few of these. Any thoughts you want to share while we're waiting for the results?
Yeah, I think I want to start off with number 1. You know, and I'm not a psychic or anything like that, but I'm going to go on a limb here, and I'm going to say that the majority of us have seen little to none in terms of impact. We've had some losses, we've had some gains, but in general, we were more fearful than we were pontificating the future. As you can tell, 65% of people have little to no change. So the end of the world dire consequences that people are out there talking about were based on their preconceived notions or pessimism, not based on reality. Number 2, do you just spend 3 to 10% on marketing? Yes, 3 to 10% is a little more than no, lower than 3 to 10%. The reality is most MSPs do not spend what it takes to achieve your goals. People ask what the magical number is. That number depends on you. What are your goals? Do you want to grow at 1 new client a month, right? Do you want to use ID Agent to close 1 net new managed services prospect a month? That's wonderful. If so, then your investment required is probably a lot less than someone who needs 20 leads a month. So what I'm not surprised here is that some people are starting to get it. There's an awakening in the channel that you can't make a sale if you don't have a lead, and you can't make $1 if you don't have a sale. So people are starting to awaken to that. And that bodes well for the future, right? If people are investing in the future will be brighter.
Absolutely.
Word of mouth referrals, 78% cite that as the number 1 source. Guess what? We've been humbled and perhaps embarrassed over the last 60 days on how quickly those word of mouth leads dry up and how quickly they become not enough. Not enough to replace the clients that we've lost, not enough to achieve our goals. You have to get smarter. We have to start diluting that and starting dividing that investment and that dependence on word of mouth by all those other specialties, because every single one of these specialties is critical to long-term success. The only one that you don't control is word of mouth. So if you're depending on word of mouth as your primary source of leads, you're literally putting the future of yourself, your family, your employees, and the families that depend on your employees in the hands of someone who truly doesn't care about it. Take control, invest in the web, invest in outbound calling, hit up your vendors for referrals, and make investments in what it takes to create a reliable and trustworthy source of net new leads for your business. When you do that, all of a sudden you can predict the future. You can plot your revenue line, you can plot your profitability line, and you can plot the valuation of your business increasing over time. And one day you'll be wealthy like Matt Solomon is.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
one of the things I love about that is I love that businesses are so localized and actually enjoy, going out and meeting and greeting, and also have partners out there that can share over referrals. It's not a bad layer to your marketing strategy, but it cannot be the only one. And there's no way that you can depend on that to be the only source of leads to you. And with some of the points that you're making, Terry, I've heard a lot on some of the communities that I'm involved in over the past months that have shared, wow, I'm really going to have to be starting to think about marketing for the first time. And I've heard this many times. And so it's just the reality of the business that we're in. And I love that you talk about your dream, because I do think if many of us are being very real with each other, some of you may have been around in that 07, 09 era and are looking to get out of the game maybe in the next few years. I know that there's a lot of stats that fly around that talk about, 40% of MSPs want to be out of the game by 2024. So if that's real, and not to mention COVID happening, we've really got to set ourselves up for success, which means you've really got to take action, which is what you're talking about, Terry. So I really, I appreciate you sharing a lot of that. And you obviously have up here your contact information. So if anybody has any additional questions, I obviously know you very well, and I get to have many awesome conversations with you about these things, and we both get hyped up about it, as you can tell. But if you have questions, ask him. Having owned 9+ businesses and gone through a lot, you have a lot to share. And if someone's lucky enough to get some of your time, there's a lot of knowledge there. So definitely reach out. It's right here at terry.hedden@marketopia.com, and you'll be hearing obviously more from Terry. And one of the things that he and our team at Marketopia are doing is, if you stay tuned, we're going to be obviously sharing out a gift certificate, really like a gift card for $1,000 worth of services from Marketopia to really just help you boost this. So stay tuned. Matt and I are going to share more on that starting tomorrow, but just a teaser. Anything else, Terry, before we jump off? Anything that you want to share? Any last words of advice or motivation?
And then, and after Terry, if you have anything, because there's a couple questions and comments that I want to give to you as well.
Go for that first, Matt.
Go for
that first. Okay, so just shout out to Andrea Peters. She said, so good. Fear-based decisions are not born out of wisdom. Greg said, thank you for your energy and enthusiasm. It reminds me of how I used to be. I need to get back there. So yeah, a lot of people motivated. Jason Waller, wow, cool. I'm motivated. Yeah, he also asked if you had any stock tips. I don't know if you'd have the answer to this question, because it says, my largest client is a resort spa and they were closed down because of COVID-19. Have you heard anything about when the country reopens hotels? How about in California? I don't know if that's your area of expertise, Terry.
I can tell you, I spent the last 8 days in a hotel at the beach in Florida, and it was very much open. I had a number of rum runners, Mai Tais, and hurricanes to prove that they're open and running business. Guys, the future is brighter than it may feel right now. If you're in California or one of the other states that sort of are on the earlier stage of reopening, understand that the bright lights are not that far away. The sunshine is coming out. Everybody's going to be coming back out. And, don't bet against the United States of America. I can tell you that. Everyone that has over the last hundreds of years has been proven wrong. Don't bet against the scientists, the doctors, and the medical professionals that are working so hard to solve this. The future is bright. Don't let anyone tell you it isn't.
Yeah, excellent message. Terry, one last question. It looks like, how do you find MSPs that are failed, or in trouble? So I guess probably looking to see where they can pick up some business and stuff like that, or to acquire them.
Absolutely. That's a great question. I can tell you, number one, they're not on this call, right? They're the ones that are afraid. They're the ones that are still trying to fix that laptop instead of investing in the future of their business. The best way to reach them, honestly, is to pick up the phone. It sounds kind of, simple, but if you send someone a FedEx letter that indicates interest in buying and then follow up with a phone call, what we call account-based marketing or one-to-one small volume, high touch marketing, you will find a lot of the smaller MSPs right now are scared. They lost their one big client or 10% of their customers, but they only had 5, right? They had lost 20% of their clients. It happened to be their big one. Their big one's a resort. Those people right now are either on this and see the future. Wow, that resort's going to reopen. Wait a minute, they're going to still need IT support. In fact, they have the same number of cash registers in July that they had in January. So my future is hurting now, but the future is bright. But there are people who don't get that are so glued to the TV, pessimistic about the world, that are listening to the politicians further their own agenda by talking about how dire things are, so that you watch the TV channel, or the news stations that are trying to glue you in with gloom and doom. They realize the future is bright. So what do you have to do? You have to find the people that aren't. We have a lot of our callers that have been pivoted toward calling out prospective MSPs and saying, listen, I've got a customer with money to spend. We're looking to pay a fair amount for your business. They get into the conversations, and what it turns out to be is a $50,000 down payment, percentage of revenue. In other words, those pessimistic, smaller MSPs that are hurting, the people who are further along in their career don't have the time or desire to reinvest and rebuild and pivot to grow. They're wanting to get out. You can buy them for 50 grand, 100 grand on the or less, sometimes nothing, and you'll get a great employee that's been humble, but also knows what it's like to run a business. That's probably a great salesperson or a great engineer. So.
Very cool. I actually have a lot more questions, but I know we're at the top of the hour, so who knows? Maybe we'll fit you in somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Towards the end of the week, but
absolutely. We really appreciate it, and I love that. You know, this is exactly what this event is to do, and I really appreciate it. I'm seeing a ton of the comments come in just saying that a lot of positive things, and this is why we're here. This is what it's for. So thank you so much, Terry. We will gather some of those questions, and if it makes sense, pop you in, and we can answer some of those, or you can answer them offline, and Matt and I will bring it back to the forefront of everyone. So thank you so much for joining us, Terry. We really appreciate it. And thank you for kicking off PIVOT2GROW.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
And now, Matt, as Terry drops off, we are going to pivot to the next speaker, who obviously we're both really excited about, that you have known. So share a little bit about who's coming in next.
Yeah, so really excited to have Manny join us today. So this kind of goes with that theme of, you know, having industry people who know this market specifically, but then also bringing in experts from outside of the MSP industry, really to give just more value and not hearing the same things over and over. And Manny, who's coming in right now via video, appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. So I met Manny actually a couple of years ago at one of our sponsors, ITO Compass, their event. He was the MC, and it was just he was the MC for it, and I was just like, damn, this guy just knows how to MC so well. I was just so impressed by his demeanor, and like I felt like I spent 2 minutes talking to him about what ID Agent did, and you would have thought he was like an expert in ID Agent when he went in front of everybody and talked about us. And I stayed in touch just every once in a while with him over the last couple of years, just a message here, a message there. And when this event came up, I was like, oh man, this would be such a perfect event. And, you know, I don't know that we planned it this way. I mean, Terry had such an inspirational kind of industry specific conversation, and like we're really going to have an inspiring day, I think, today. So Manny's going to talk about a lot of different things, but you know, one of the things I asked him to share is kind of his backstory, because it's one of the more motivational and inspiring things that I've heard. And one piece of it, which I think really is going to speak to this audience, is that Manny used to be afraid, and I'll let him share the story, but used to really have anxiety about speaking in front of audiences. And to hear that, and then to see what I saw when he was doing the emceeing, I was just like, wow, what a comeback kind of story. And so, you know, Manny's going to share his story, some insights, and then of course we're going to open it up to Q&A. I know Andrew and I will pop back in. And so Manny, you know, when you're ready for us to pop back in, you let us know. But just to double check, is your audio working with us right now, or?
Check.
Check.
Check. 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Oh, good. That's what I'm talking about.
Loud and clear.
All right. Let's get this party started.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, you two. I really appreciate the opportunity, and you know that there's several hundred reasons in the focus of multiple people being on this call right now to bring an enormous amount of value to help people kind of understand what we're going through right now. And I know, Matt, you want me to share my story. You know, that could take days. And there's a lot to it, but ultimately I think that there's one key word that kind of encompasses everything that you just shared, group, that is near and dear to my heart, and that word is courage. Okay. Right now, the only thing that we need in a conditional environment like this today is, because if you haven't noticed, the playing field has been leveled. Okay. And it's pretty much an even game for everybody that's out there right now to either reinvent, repurpose, and restart. And if there's something that we can take out of this, I think that that would be something cool. And then I'm going to kind of go through a few practices when it comes to some sales and really kind of understanding how a conversation can convert. And by the way, I still get nervous when I speak. So just you guys know, the nerves and the fear do not go away, but you do it anyway, right? So
Absolutely.
During COVID, I've had the opportunity to watch The Last Dance. And if you guys are sports fans or not, there is a documentary out there right now on the Chicago Bulls on their last run in 97, 98 when they won the championship. And Phil Jackson, the coach, arguably one of the best coaches of all time, said something that I wrote down. And it says, you're only a success at the moment you perform a successful act. And you have to do it again and again and again. So I'm trying to concentrate your focus on something that is here today, and that's going to be moving forward. Wipe out and remove everything that's happened beforehand, because now we are in a position where we get to ask ourselves new questions, we get to reposition ourselves, and we really start to set a stage for everything that's moving forward. Right now, I like to ask a lot of questions, and I like to put questions on the table for you all that you can ask yourselves. So I'm going to go a couple key questions right now that I hope that you write down, or if there's a recording in this for later, come back to them and ask yourself these. But the first one is, are you validating average? Okay. Because right now, the easy thing to do is to contract. Everybody's contracting. And I would say and suggest to do the opposite, right? Expand, go outward. And like Terry was saying, there's wonderful opportunity within this environment right now. And it really comes down to the psychology of where you live in terms of in your own head and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to put yourself out there forward thinking. The second question that I want you to ask yourself is, are you making sense of easing up? Okay. Are you finding ways when you're getting in a nice tight groove and moving forward to negotiate with yourself and settle down and say, okay, I'm good. I've hit my goal for today. I put in my 8 hours, take a break. I would say actually, take off on that rocket ship. SpaceX just launched a couple of days ago. We've got new history. There's some beautiful things going on right now. Put yourself on that same ship to take yourself to this next level thinking, correct? One other thing. That's also an important question that I wrote down here for you. Are you guys paying the price of settling? It is very difficult for us to go through day after day after day and do the things that are mundane and that are boring, but that are also process focused and that drive results. And when I talk about process, I talk about the things that nobody wants to do. I talk about staying away from the results and the scoreboard, because it's very easy for us to pay attention to the news. It's very easy for us to pay attention to the sales that are either coming in or not. It's very easy for us to pay attention to the marketing budget that's being spent. But if you're taking yourself off of the things that you've set up that are incremental markers that get you to a result, that's when you put yourself in the best position to win. There was a famous quote from Tom Brady that said, whenever I'm in the trenches and I'm working towards building these great Super Bowl teams, I'm always focused on the process. Okay. He's always thinking about what I can do right here in this moment, whether he's up 24 or down 24. His attitude and his approach never changes. He's always focused on what needs to happen right now and right here. Okay. So it's important for us to reframe the context in which we see our lives sort of unfolding right now. And one other question I think is really important for us to ask ourselves as we go through this circumstantial situation right now with COVID and now the riots taking place, and I've helped a lot of people reshape their mind around this, is a lot of people are asking themselves and asking others, when is this going to be over? Okay, outward. How about asking yourself, when am I going to be over this? When am I going to be over COVID? When am I going to be over the riots and the looting, so that I basically take back control of my life and start to put out the necessary actions that support that? And so when we think about this, I want you to imagine a triangle for a quick second, because this is very helpful. And I like to work with shapes and sports teams, as you might be able to tell here. And if we had a whole bunch of time, I'd probably go into a whole bunch of more geometrics and whatnot. But on this triangle, it's essentially a steering wheel of your life. The top of this triangle is going to be your self-image, okay? This is going to be how we see ourselves. if we have a negative frame from which we see ourselves and how we kind of observe the world and the things that we pull from our past that we lever and we make it a part of our day-to-day lives right here with us now, then the steering wheel is going to get a bit shaky. Okay. That's on the top part. On the bottom right, if you're looking at it, there's going to be our self-esteem. Okay. How do we feel about ourselves, right? Where does this format of the way that we carry these beliefs and what are the sources of these ideas that may or may not be infecting how we are putting ourselves in position to take what is ours and put ourselves in the best possible position to win. Okay. That's the second part of that. And then the third part is going to be your self-talk, right? Okay. So you got the self-image, you've got the self-esteem, and you've got the self-talk. How are you communicating to yourself on a daily basis? What are you doing to practice the positive reinforcement and training yourself to have the proper dialogue inside of your own mind? Essentially talk to yourself like you'd be your own best friend, right? It's very, very important. You wouldn't let somebody come and start yip-yapping at you in a negative way. So why would we feel obligated to allow ourselves to do the same thing, okay? And I share that with you because in the context of what the purpose of this talk really kind of encompasses from a sales and marketing standpoint, more emphasis on the sales, we live in a cause and effect world. And if we are causing ourselves to not feel empowered and to not feel confident walking into a sales conversation or a sales engagement, then the effect is going to be a lackluster format of results. So I want you all to understand something, and I'm going to work with you on another formula here. Okay. So check this out, write this down. P2, okay. P2 minus I equals P3. Okay. So the P2 stands for potential. All right. Now, all of us on this call right now, every single one of us, no matter where we are, no matter what race, what color, what age, we have infinite potential. I'm sure you guys would agree with that. We can become anything. We can do anything. We can have anything. And some might argue, well, I can never be a basketball player and jump as high as Michael Jordan could, for example. Fair enough. Fair enough. But when it comes to more of the intangible stuff, okay, so that's our potential. We know that's almost infinitely unlimited. And then the second P for that is probabilities. So P2 minus I equals P3. Okay, that's the formula, but I'm trying to give you a nice runway here so you can understand it. P2, probabilities and potential minus any interference, okay, equals P3. So the I is interference, and the P3 is your productivity, your progress, and your profits, okay? So when I say probabilities, if our infinite potential says I can be completely in shape and I can have a beautiful body and I can stay healthy, however, if I'm eating junk every day and I'm going out to McDonald's and I'm drinking and eating sugar-consumed beverages and treats, then the probability of me having the productivity, the progress, and the profits are going to decline substantially, okay? So we all have infinite potential. The probabilities, if they're in place and we're favored towards them, then we can get closer towards what it is that we're actually trying to put together here in terms of formatting some more success for ourselves. Okay, the interference comes in, our thinking, our beliefs, how we feel, all those negative approaches that we take to it can get in the way, which we call obstacles of us also getting into this. So how do we start to use this information and analyze it from a psychological standpoint? There's a reason for this that I'm bringing this up, because it has everything to do when we look to get into conversations that convert. And I say this because I'll give you an example in my own personal life right now. In the last 25 days, just to be very transparent with you, I've sold over $110,000 worth of services, collected like $60,000 from something I was doing on the side. And I'm telling you this because the formula works, right? Psychologically, at a fundamental level, we're in position to really go out there and take and to consume what is ours. People are still spending money. The money hasn't gone and disappeared. It's just been shifted. And it's your job as a skilled leader, as a skilled business owner, as a skilled representative to come in and put yourself in the best possible situation to benefit from what's going on right now, okay? So remember that formula, P2 minus I equals P3, okay? So if we can start to deconstruct how some of the psychology works, then once we go into calls, we can use what's called a BIF formula, okay? Now, we're bringing this home to more of a sales approach. So we're going to get in front of customers. We're going to have conversations with them. And obviously our goal is to enroll them into our service, to get them to write a check or, do business with us. Okay. And when I say BIF, what happens in sales conversations is that too many times people try to tell people how to feel, and they try to diarrhea on top of them and tell them all the things that they think they should do. And basically it creates this just big, wide band of resistance. Okay. So in saying this, when I say BIF, I'm talking about benefits, impacts, and feelings. All right. So within conversations that convert, we have to understand that you are going to get a customer to say yes to you and to move into action based off of your thorough understanding of where they are and how they feel in the situation, and that we can actually drive them down a very seamless path to a close where they basically walk into it and they want to do business with us. Okay. And one of the ways that we do that is by asking phenomenal questions. And so the BIF formula is really about taking it multiple layers deep. So we can have a table, and we want to give a table some legs, right? So maybe we understand our sales process, but if somebody was to come to me and say, hey, I'm not necessarily feeling that this is the right thing for me, or I'm a bit fearful right now, and they're giving you reasons why they don't want to do this. Well, then we are realizing now, using our formula, P2 minus I equals P3, that there's interference, and that we have to reconstruct the way that they're placing a context, because content is different than context. You got to remember, everybody that comes into a new sales conversation and an opportunity to do business is bringing something from the past. Okay. Usually, whether that's a good experience or bad experience, they have a construct, a framework in which they're dragging into this current situation, whether that's they don't want to make the same mistake, whether they've been burned before, whether they used a product that didn't work for them. It could be any of these things. And so if we understand this when we come in, and we can listen appropriately, and we can identify that these people are bringing a certain context, because it's not about the content. The context is what we need to deconstruct. And so we need to go in there understanding that they're thinking, feeling, believing, or seeing something that might not necessarily line up with us, right? And so when we say the right things at the right time and the right way, we can start to rebuild a framework in which people will then start to say yes and reimagine and focus on what it is that they want. So, for example, if somebody's like, they're not seeing this, they're fearful. One of the best questions that you can ask somebody, and I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet for you, because if it's just really big and long, but if you can just take these and you can apply these couple things, including what I'm about to share with you right now, and actually use it inside of your conversations, it's going to be very effective. Okay. So great question to ask people if you're getting stuck or some resistance in the middle of a call is, who taught you to think that way? Okay. What you're doing here is you're helping these people go inward and reveal the source of what they're pulling from. Because remember, people always want to know that you understand and that you genuinely have empathy for them about where they're coming from. Okay. They want to know that you know where they're coming from. You ask great questions to understand, hey, where have you been before? Tell me about some of the things you've tried out before, right? How did those things go for you, right? Why did that thing not work? Oh, that's interesting. What do you think is going to be different this time around? Okay. Many different types of approaches to that, where they're coming from, where they're at now, okay, where they want to go, and what are the obstacles standing in the way. And again, the obstacles are usually, assuming that they have the means, the financial means to make an investment and to choose you as a service provider, wonderful thing. And again, in sales and in conversations that convert, we are never going to do business with everybody. It's impossible. So don't let that be the norm. You want to have, like I say, a 20 to 30% deal ratio where you get deals done, which is a very sweet number. So when I say that, it's understanding this person and being able to pick up key points inside the conversation where you're going to go and meet them with where they're stuck. What are the interference points that they're having? And like I said, when you can tune into the fact that it's usually an emotional piece, of feeling, a belief, or a thought, then you can go back in and you can ask them that question with, who taught you to feel that way, right? And then they'll start to just tell you, well, it's when I was a kid, Or, that's when back in school, my teacher told me I wasn't good enough. Well, okay. Do you want to continue to feel that way? So that would be a second question that layers who taught you to feel that way, right? And you don't ever want to tell them how to think or what to think, because now you're basically going in and it's your belief. It's not them revealing it. It's not them opening up to you, okay? So we start to take them down this path where we're redimensionalizing how they think, feel, believe, or seal. And remember, you always want to mirror them. So if they say, I don't think I see myself doing business with you today, well, you would say, well, who taught you to think that way? If they say, I don't know if I feel like this is the right thing for me to do business with you, you would say, well, who taught you to feel that way? So you see I'm going, if it's to feel, to see, to think, to believe, you want to mirror them in that context, okay? The third thing after you say, do you want to continue to feel that way would be, how do you prefer to see, feel, believe, or think, right? So now they're starting to come out, they're starting to put their focus on the re-belief and the rebuilding of why this opportunity with you is meaningful to them, why it makes sense, and how they can start to get out of their own way and position themselves to be in business with you, okay? The other question that actually goes on top of that as well is, if you were feeling this way, right? If you were feeling this way, meaning this new way, would you be interested in moving forward and doing some business with us today? So part of what I wanted to do here is kind of help you understand how to reconstruct the thought process when you're in a key conversation and you might be getting some resistance. It's not about telling them how they should do something or just, again, firing all kinds of great new information to them. It's about, how do we reposition their focus on what they want and why it's so important? And remember this: why them, why now, and why this opportunity, okay? Why them, why now, and why this opportunity, all right? So we have a beautiful opportunity in today's day and age from a psychological level to be able to jump in and say, look, I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you get access to your goal, right? In the context of everyone on this call's business opportunities, there are meaningful ways and great psychology efforts that people can leverage, including the ABC method, which I'm sure many of you actually have heard of before. It's not always be closing, okay? It's ABC. A is, what do they absolutely want? B is the benefits that they see themselves having as a result of doing business with you. And the C actually stands for the consequences of them not making this decision today. Okay. So once again, we're playing right back into these formulas where spend some time on it, think through it, work it. And most importantly, you got to have some courage to put it back into action. These are the types of conversations and teachings that, take days and weeks. And by the way, I've been learning them for years. And we're still optimizing them, and I'm still studying film, and I'm still repositioning things, and I'm still changing scripts, and I'm still trying out new things, which is why I go back to the very first part of what I said on this call is today we need to have more courage than ever to put ourselves back out there, whether that's speaking, whether that's getting in front of our customers again, whether that's trying something in the middle of the dialogue with current customers that we have in our pipeline, and put ourselves in the best position to win. You have to take your emotions out of this whole thing. Okay. The emotions are not going to help us. That doesn't mean you don't have empathy, but if we start getting caught up in all the things going on around outside of us, then we're really going to start to become the result and the scoreboard. And that's not where we want to be. We do not want to become the result and the scoreboard. We want to be the process. We want to be making sure we're making steady incremental gains on a daily basis to put ourselves in the best possible position to win. Now, I caught the last part of Terry's talk and he was talking about leads. Yeah, obviously there's more parts to getting a great deal done. Then you have to have the lead flow and the traffic. Then there's the presentation. Then we could segue to the close and handling objections. But I truly believe as a human being, just like the rest of you, that if we can understand that formula and where these people are coming from and help them in the middle of the conversation, reconstruct the way that they're thinking and help them believe and see and feel and imagine that this is big time again, that this is where they need to be, then you have done your job and you will lead them down a seamless path to get them to this place. Okay. So, Matt, that was like short and sweet, dude. I know I told you I do better when there's questions. I always like to open it up for questions because I can go in a million different directions. I'm not sure, for those of you that know me, I'm not your structured, PowerPoint type of guy. I've just been a heavy action guy for my entire life. And that is what's led me down this path to being able to, even get this invitation today, I guess you would say, right? So remember that victory comes at a price, and so does settling. Most importantly, right? Do not settle right now under these current circumstances, because you will pay the price infinitely more down the road if you allow everything else that's going on around outside of us to keep you held down. Okay. I'm gonna hand it back to you, brother. Feel free to fire off whatever you have, or allow anybody to ask me any questions. Like I said, I do best with that. Because I can.
We've got Andrew here, so we'll do a little back and forth. I will just one random thing. Just could you the A and ABC? Somebody asked just to double check on what that stood for.
What do they absolutely want? The A is for absolutely want. So create a some of the first questions that you could ask them is, why are we here today? What is that going to do for you? When they start telling you these things, you want to drill down and give them some more essence. So, once they say, I want to do this because it's going to make my life so much better and I'm going to make more money. It's going to put me in position to travel. Well, why is that important to you, and how would that benefit you? So now I'm going even deeper. So now they're going to start telling me the benefits of that. And then once they tell me the benefits of that, I'm going to say, well, how's that going to impact your life? Right. And now we're going even deeper. We're starting to plant that flag even more. And then I would hit them with well, how's that going to make you feel? And now I'm just completely eliciting their emotion. I mean, they are so into the desire that they're getting sucked into this vortex where it's like, it's almost gonna be impossible for them to say no if I continue to do my job right and understand. Part of that ABC formula, just so you know, is in every conversation that converts, they're either going to be motivated by the benefits, or they're going to be motivated by the not doing something, the consequences of not doing it, because the pain is too big, right? So you pay attention to where they're at. If they're really excited about all the things it's going to provide for them, amazing. If they've got kind of a neutral tone and they're not really feeling the benefits, but if you start talking to them about, hey, listen, if we don't do this within the next 2 months, what are going to be some of the downsides or the consequences of us not doing this? Well, you know what? I could lose my house. My kids won't have anything to eat. And you'll understand real quick, if they're motivated by that, you want to focus in on that and take that as the part where that's going to drive you to the point of a sale and ultimately get the business from them. I hope that helps, by the way.
Absolutely. I think, one of the things I love, Manny, and this is the reason why you're a part of this event, is that in our space, we oftentimes are so set on what we know, right? The technology, the speeds and feeds, and that's how the forefront of the sales process goes. And this happens across the board. And it's just a part of the way that many of us in this space are built, right? Those are the things that we care about, those are the things we know. So that's what we lead with, because we think that that's what's going to sell someone. But I love that obviously we led in day one with talking more about the EQ of a sale, which is what you're digging into, and talking about why. And I think it's twofold, which I want to kind of double down on. One of the things that you said is that you've got the questions that you need to ask yourself to understand yourself and your own dreams and why you're doing what you're doing, why you're in business, what are your plans, what's your end game, what's that look like? You've got to understand your own emotional status, which there's probably, people on this call that are like, whoa, I didn't realize I was going to be doing math and in a therapy session this afternoon on PIVOT2GROW. But what I would say is that is what's so important. This is the piece that sometimes is just put to the side going, oh, like emotions really, but that's the crux of everything. This is why you have those phrases that run around, like people do business with their friends, and this is, everything is based on emotion, but it's oftentimes pushed to the side so quickly. And so I love that you say get to know yourself as that business owner first, and then into the sales cycle, you start talking about understanding who you're selling to and how their mind works and what their motivations are. So talk a little bit more about that. And then I've got a slew of other things that I'd love for you to touch on, but talk a little more about that. Like, this is very, Matt and I know the space extremely well, and you're familiar with it too, Manny. This is new. Marketing is new for a lot of our MSPs and service providers. emotions are very new for many as well, and they kind of fall in that same bucket. So if someone is just getting in the mix of this and going, okay, wait, what do I have to figure out? This sounds like a little interesting. Give them some just quick things, like how do they, and you went into it a little bit, but talk about when they're looking at going at that sales process, what are better ways to approach that sales process, and what are things that they can do to make sure that they're approaching it correctly?
Yeah, for sure. And so remember, people are buying off of emotion, and the means don't matter. You can put, I can get in front of obviously the most qualified prospect, ideally, just assuming you figure that part out, but the means don't matter. It's the ends. And when I say the ends, that's what they need, want, and desire, right? It's always where it comes from. And so as part of understanding that, like I said in the middle there, maybe I was flying through my words, but it's really about understanding where they come from. Okay. Where did they come from? We have to understand that. And that's a sense of empathy, right? Because once we understand where they come from, okay, where they're at, where they want to go, and what the obstacles are in the way of getting there, then we can do what's called value map our product or our offer to them based off of what they've told me about where they've come from, where they're at, where they want to go, and what the obstacles are in the way. So now I can take my value of my stuff and just say, okay, well, based off what you told me, this will help you here. This would help you here. This would help you here. And it just starts to make sense to them. And it just basically diffuses any type of resistance. Again, like I said, assuming that they have the means, find the ways to be able to invest, as I would always say, into the program, product, service, whatever it is that you're offering. And so really fundamentally walking into a conversation, not thinking that it's about the product or the service. It's never about the product or the service. And that's a very hard thing for most people to step away from. Yeah. It's like, wait. No, it's all about that.
Right.
And what happens is because we focus too much on the product or the service, we actually get away from our natural creativity and our thought of actually sitting that back casually, trying to hear them out, listening to what they're saying, to use this information that they're providing me as ammunition to get the deal done. I mean, they're going to give me all the bullets to load up my gun if I'm asking the right questions and I'm listening attentively, right? And then they're going to basically allow me just to send back the same information to them. And they're going to say, yeah, well, how could we not do business together? I mean, you just served it up to me on a silver platter. Let's rock and roll. So
absolutely.
It's not about, excuse me for that. It's not about, and remember everybody, this might be new to you. And I appreciate you saying that. Everything takes time. It takes practice. It takes repetition. So if this may be new to you, don't panic. It's part of the process. Everything that we start on a day-to-day basis, in some cases is always it's a new day, right? So with the same emphasis of, you got to start somewhere. And if you're committed to this and you want to drive some more revenue, you want to drive some new profit opportunities, and you want to put more customers in your deal flow, then absolutely you're on the right track. Because again, it all starts with one step, and then you keep putting one foot in front of the other. And next thing you know is you're making some steady and incremental gains for that matter.
Definitely. And I think one of the things you said, I think is important to repeat is that listening and selling are hand in hand. So many times too, with a lot of our MSP partners, because we all know our products and services so well, we think we already know what the client is looking for or what they need. And oftentimes we don't. Maybe we haven't gone in and done that survey yet. Maybe we haven't gone in and assessed their business yet. And we think that we just have this bundle that we created in this service offering, and it's just, here we go. And we're going to give it to them. This is what they need. We really need to do a good job of listening. And one of the things that you said, which is 100% true, is if you listen, they will tell you the answer. So they will tell you what they need or what they think they need. They'll tell you the problems. And then it's up to you, with all your knowledge on that product, to answer it in a great solution for them and solve that for them. Because again, they're basing it on emotions. They need their business to run. So I think that listening piece is huge. And I think that's great. Matt, pivot for us for a second. And I know I'm overusing that word just for fun, but talk a little bit about, one of the things that I thought was really interesting is some of, Manny's history. I think a lot of our partners right now are having to do things that are a little unique. In the last session, they just shared that referral partners are where the majority of the business was coming from. Now having to change everything overnight, that means sales process changing as well, getting out of that comfort zone. And some of that has to do with speaking, video, on and on. Sales processes changing and morphing. Talk a little bit about some of the things I know that you guys have shared before that the audience may not know. You might be on mute, Matt. I can't hear you. Classic COVID issues. Let's see if we can hear him. I don't hear him yet.
Am I back?
Perfect, yes.
I don't know what happened there. My headset must have cut out from not talking. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that, I mentioned to you, Manny, in this industry, MSPs aren't as used to getting out in front of their customers. They may at trade shows, but not necessarily speaking in front of them at like lunch and learns, and certainly not virtually. That's very new to this industry. And, I've heard some people just say they're not comfortable. I've had other people say, well, everybody's doing it right now, so, I'm just going to be one of many. And, and of course, just a lot of them have that fear. So just kind of, I know in the description of this, you talked about doubling down on the customer facing, when you can, whether it's in person or virtually, but kind of talk about that experience. And I would, if you don't mind indulging me on the audience a little bit about the anxiety I know you still have some when you go on, and I do as well, but I do think it's important to hear that a little bit of that story, if you don't mind, just a little bit of how you overcame some of that fear of getting in front of people.
Yeah. So let me see if I can wrap this up for you in a nice, pretty package and bow on top. The truth is that you have to have something that you want so badly that it basically just everything else becomes insignificant. The fears, and I would throw the ball back in your court about what I was just saying with this formula. I would say, well, who taught you to think that way? The fear, what is it? I mean, where's it coming from? It's something that you've just manufactured in most cases. Oh, they're going to say something about me that's negative, or they're going to judge me in this way. Well, so what, right? I mean, I'm serious. So what? And the best way we do this, just so you know, but long before I met you, Matt, long before I was at that event in Chicago with you all, I was speaking in front of groups at the local restaurant for meetup.com. Yeah. And just so you know, I would get in front of two people. Before I went there, I was sweating bullets. I was terrified, right? I had every fear imaginable, but I said, listen, I've made a conscious decision that I'm going to work on this dream of mine, and I'm not going to be held down by this paralyzing emotion. Mm-hmm. And when I got up in front of two people, I remember this like it was yesterday. I was like, oh my God, I said, I'm scared shitless, right? I'm panicking. And I got up and I just did it without trying to figure out how I was going to do it, what I was going to say. I just started talking. And afterwards, the power that I felt from just letting that break free from me was insurmountable, right? And then I said, okay, well, now I just have to do more of this. So I put myself in position purposefully to go out there to get over it, because I knew that it would be that important to my future success. So the best thing you can do, and I always say, look, one of the greatest things is to get in front of people and say, look, guys, I'm going to do this today. I'm not good. Okay. Don't expect the best from me. I'm scared. I'm a human being, but I'm doing this today, and I'm going to make sure that I give you what I can, the best that I can. And so now it levels you up. Now you guys are on the same kind of playing field, as I said before, where, look, okay, I understand. So all the other fears that you might have had, they're suspended, right? Because now you're just part of the crew, and then you just do it. And then you put yourself in position to do it as many times as you possibly can. Listen, it might be 2 people, 3 people to start with, 5 people. That's okay, right? And just, it's the repetition part that comes in. And then obviously with the more practice that you get, the more comfortable you get. But don't ever forget, look, every time, listen, I'm talking about content that I learned, let's just say over the course of 4 years. But when I first started, I was talking about things that I didn't know. And then the evolution of life and the evolution of growth, as the topic of this conversation, always on the grow, we're always repositioning ourselves. We're always learning new things. And so if I learn something new, I have to go back to what I said earlier. We got to have some courage to get back up again and go out there and, damn, I don't know this as good as I thought I did. Or I have to go and stand in front of new people, talk about a new topic. And guess what? Naturally, you're going to feel a little bit of that, little, like you said, I'm stumbling or I'm stuck. And the bottom line is you just got to do it anyway. Right.
Yeah.
And I wish there was a better way to put it, but it's really no secret to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, a couple of things I was thinking about during that. I mean, one, people want you to succeed, so it's never, like you said, it's never as bad as you think it's going to be, and people will give you, compliments and whatnot. But also, I mean, fear is part of it, and fear is an incredibly motivating characteristic, right? I mean, our feeling, think back to when I used to run in high school, and this is the thing, you don't have to be like the Michael Jordan, which was an incredible documentary, by the way. You don't have to be at his level, but like, when I would run out of fear of the person catching me. Like, I mean, it sounds that is racing, but like, I always heard footsteps, even if they weren't there. And it was just this constant fear, and I just kept going. And there was this runner, Steve Prefontaine. Most people on this call will not know that name, but if you're a runner, you definitely do. And there was this quote that he says, and it says, to give anything less than your best is to sacrifice the gift. And that quote kind of came from this idea of that when he was running, he was a front runner. He would never sit back and, what he would say, steal a race. He wanted, the only way to know that he gave his all was to go out there and just go. And so sometimes you got to just overcome that fear and go and give it your best.
Well, you got to ask yourself, how bad do you want it? It's not about everybody else. It's like, look, what am I working towards?
Yeah.
Right. When we realize, look, as quickly as I tuned into how short life was, and then I was in this thing in the middle, and that I have no more time to continue to mess around with. I'll share with you a phenomenal principle. And this freaks a lot of people out, by the way, but I'm a heavy student. I call myself a hungry learner. There's a book out there called The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And the last chapter in that book sums the whole thing up. And it's called Meditating on Mortality. And most people do not like the subject of death, and they will never go that way because it is the most terrifying thing on planet Earth. But it is the one thing that we all have in common, and that is mortality, right? So once we come to terms with that, because that is exactly what's preventing us and what makes us evade everything and completely stand back from something that we truly want. Once we accept that and we live our life from that place every day, like, yo, this could be my last day. You accept the fact that the end is here. Whether that's tomorrow, today, in 10 years, but you start living now. You start getting turned up to go out there and make some serious moves on your life. And once you can get past just that little, that awkwardness, it's just kind of sticky. It's freedom. It's true bliss. And I would highly suggest you go buy that book, The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene, and you read that last chapter. If you didn't read anything else, it is that last chapter. And after this call, you probably walk out of here. You wouldn't even have any fear getting in front of the room. All right, let's go. What do I have to lose? What do I have to lose? Right?
Absolutely. I love that. And I saw comments just coming through asking about the book. And so I love that you renamed it. And one of the things about this, and Manny, I love that you're tapping into the psychology of selling and the psychology of just human nature, because the reality is, to that point, all of us only live once. That's it. End of story. Our last day could be today, tomorrow, 12 years from now. No one actually knows that as it is. So I always, I have this conversation with individuals in my personal life. Why would something that, oftentimes, when someone gets diagnosed with something or something happens in life, all of a sudden you have this motivation to live. And it's like, wait a second. What changed? Nothing. Today is still the same day, other than the fact that now there's a deadline, but there was always a deadline. You just thought that it was lingering out there somewhere. So the deadline, it could be tomorrow. There could be another COVID-19 coming whenever. And so you have to take a look at your business and use that fear as motivation and use that as the gas to get you going to achieve the things that you want. So I think that that's a great way of summing up what you shared with everybody, which is you got to figure out what those things are that you do want. How do you want to spend this one life that you have? And I always say, use the working backwards approach, kind of like you're saying. When you think about mortality, you think about at the end of your days, however long we have, we're sitting at the end, what's the story that we get to look back on and talk about? Like, what chapters did we write? What did we do with this life? Like, how did we live it? And at the end of the day, we're all only here for a blink of an eye. So what is there really to be afraid of? What, like failing? Awesome. Then you have something cool that you learned that you actually get to go teach someone else about. even in your case, Manny, the things that you talk about are based on the fact that you overcame fears. So going through hard times are exactly the thing that stands you up on more pedestals, and there are more bricks to stand on to go teach other people how to get through those same things. So I think it's awesome. And I definitely appreciate you sharing that with everybody.
Check this out. I appreciate you. Great words, by the way. I expect to make mistakes. I expect to fail. I expect to fall flat on my face. I want that. I love that. I'm like, give me some more of that, because
Sooner the better, right? Yeah.
100%. That is what it's doing is exponentially increasing my growth speed. For me, short bursts and being able to accelerate my path, the journey that I'm on faster, that's the recipe. Right. Yeah. And so to the degree that you want something that arguably takes time, we've got to remember, right? Things take time, but you act with urgency always, right? You just got to know that's a process. If you want something spectacular in your life, if you want to become a deca millionaire, or if you want $1 billion, it might take you, 20, 25, 30 years. I mean, look at Starbucks. Starbucks didn't hit its stride until 25 years. They were literally 100-ish stores. Yeah. And then I think between 20 and 25, they went to tens of thousands. Yeah. Apple, same thing. Apple was, I think, 20, 25 years before hitting their stride. The iPod got released, and oh my God, the whole world knows about it. So when we really put this frame of what it really takes, and to the degree that we want it that badly, I always look for ways to help me shortcut that obviously in an ethical way. And one of the best ways to do that is go fall flat on your face as often as you can, knowing I'm making progress. It's actually a paradox, right? It's like, I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to actually get there faster because now I got new information. Now I have new experience. Absolutely. And if I'm aware and I'm considering the feedback from the experience, then I'm putting myself in position to be better for the next time. Right. And so that's kind of another way to consider it. Make mistakes. It's a good thing. Expect to fall on your face. Beautiful thing, right? It's part of the process.
And you're not too old to do that at any age. So right now, one of the things that I know Terry touched on it, and I know that there's a lot of stats that fly around as well. Matt, you talked about those footsteps behind you. So right now, we've got hundreds of MSPs sitting on this call right now. And I know many of them are going, man, I do really need to rethink about my vision for my company. And I always say, if you don't know your vision, that means no one in your company knows your vision. If no one in your company knows your vision, then where's your army going? What's everybody doing together? So you've got to establish that together first in order to cast that vision out to the team that's going to help you get there. And if no one knows what it is, then everyone's just hanging out together. You just got a group of friends, you don't have a company. So the footsteps behind, when it comes to sales and marketing is there's the stat that always flies around that, 75% of the channel are going to be millennials in like 5 years from now. And I think that was a few years ago. But if you think about that and you've been in this business for a while and you're not sure whether you're going to will it or you're not sure how you're going to get back from COVID, you've got to start looking at the things that Manny's saying. Like, you got to get uncomfortable with getting in front of people. You got to get uncomfortable with a net new sales process because you can't have referral partners anymore. You have to get super uncomfortable because the footsteps that are coming behind you are millennials that can spin up a company overnight, that they know everything about digital marketing and digital transformation and go-to-market strategy. And that's who's coming. That's the next wave that's coming. So don't wait too long to get a handle on some of these kind of introspective things that Manny's sharing, because the quicker you know that vision and where you're trucking towards and what you need to do to accomplish it, the sooner you can get there. And you don't have to worry about those footsteps like Matt, because you're going to be out ahead of it, right? So
absolutely.
So I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome.
So what was that? Yeah, we have a couple questions, I think. By the way, one person knew who Steve Prefontaine was, just so. But one of the, actually, Manny, can you say the name of the book? I know you said it a couple of times, but I knew a couple of people were going to ask about it.
The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene.
Maybe Dana can put that in the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene.
By the way, I've been asked this many times, and I've read a lot. And it's probably top 2 books of all time that I've ever read. And if you want to understand a human being at the cellular level, I highly suggest you read that book immediately.
Got it. Yeah, and then so Dana did just put that in there. Now everybody's going crazy about Prefontaine. We'll have a separate webinar for that. But anyways, one of the questions came in. Before actual objections take place, what are some of your favorite ways to elicit the bullets?
Again, goes back to those key questions, right? So, why are we here today for the most part? You know, what made you want to get on this call with me? What made you decide to meet up with me today? And they're going to start telling you a little bit about their motivation, right? At that point, I start to pay attention. I'm queuing in on their desires. Like, you know, I want to start to build my own dream. I want to start to build X, Y, or Z, whatever it is the purpose or the context of that particular meeting. And then, like I said, once they start telling me some of that stuff, I want to know why that's important to them. So now I'm starting to drill down. Okay. So if they start telling me, like I said, you know, they want to build a business or they want to have better productivity in their office. Well, why is that important to you? You know, how's that going to actually benefit your business? So when we talk about, you know, if you're drawing a metaphor, the bullets are the information that they start telling you right there is exactly what I'm doing to load my gun, right? That's exactly the information I'm taking. And I'm not just going to stop at a surface level. I'm going to go very deep. So once they start telling me why that's important, then like I said before, I'm going to say, well, what kind of an impact is that going to have on your life? And they're going to say, well, you know what? I mean, my God, I'd have some more free time and I could probably go home and spend time with the kids. And, oh, now we're just heartstrings. Now we're talking about the stuff that they love. Mm-hmm. And that's going to move them so fast. Okay. You're just sitting back, chilling out, smiling. You're like, oh, that's amazing. Yeah. You know, subtle little voice cues and it's just acknowledgement. Oh, it's beautiful. Great. I can hear you now. That's, you know, everybody wants to spend more time with their family. You know, once you actually get to spend some more time with your family, what other kind of activities do you think you're going to do? Now they're going to say, oh, well, you know what? We're going to go to Disneyland. We're probably going to go to dinner a couple nights a week because we got more time. That's more ammunition for my gun. I'm just taking some more bullets. Right. And so I'm gathering all this intel from them. Okay. And then you're going to let them basically talk themselves into a deal. All right. So now, again, that's one part of it. So we're listening to benefits and what they absolutely want. Then we got to get to the point about why now, meaning why this opportunity that we're discussing at this table, on this call, during this webinar right now. So you know, in terms of timeline, how soon do you want all this to start happening, right? If they say, you know, I don't have a plan to do this for another year and a half, well, I got to bring that real close to home. I got to bring that like now. So then it starts to become a question of, well, you know, why so long? What are you waiting for? Right. So, you know, I don't know. I have some time management issues and I got these other things going on right now. And, you know, it can probably get in the way. Well, you know, if all of these things that you just shared with me, you know, spending some more time with your family and going on this journey and traveling to Disneyland were that important, wouldn't it make sense for us to figure out a way to get this done almost immediately? And they're going to say, yeah, well, how do we do that? And then you can probably start inject a little bit of coaching with them, right? Well, see, let's look at what you got here. You know, give them some value, and then we go over to the, you know, really kind of driving out the consequences. Well, what if we didn't do this sooner than later, right? Like I just said to you guys, well, nothing's promised. Tomorrow's not promised. You know, what kind of an impact would that have if we didn't? What's the downside to that? So I'm just asking these key questions, right? There's no, you know, silver magic bullet to this except for asking the right questions and really getting them to associate it close to themselves right now. Like they need to know that this is the time to do this. And if you let them distance from that, then you're going to be off in la la land and you're not going to be able to get the deal done today because it's not close enough to them, right? So remember that why them, why now, and why this opportunity. Okay. And so I hope that kind of answers the question. By the way, man, I'm sure you're going to give out my information. I'm always in communication. Big fan of that. Happy to answer any additional questions and really kind of help make some more sense of the blueprint. And, you know, if there's any other things I can do for this group.
Yeah, we'll include your information in the email that goes out, and there's replays that people can have. But I mean, is there a best way to reach you? Is it usually by email or?
Shoot, send me a text. And I think no, that's
he does respond quickly, by the way.
I don't play when I come to that. You know,
Facebook Messenger, whatever it is.
You're right. I sure do. So listen, I'm dead serious. My cell phone number is 702-768-0710. Here's what I know to be true. I offer people help all the damn time. They never take advantage of it. So I just put it out there and it's like crickets. So I would be glad if somebody would text me and say, hey, how do we do this? Guess why? Yeah. Because I get a chance to help you. I get a chance to improve my skills. And then you get a chance to go out there and help some more people, get some more deals done, make some more money, increase the profitability of your business. It's a win-win-win-win, right?
It definitely is. And I would say too, I love that you say text. So back to what we were talking about a second ago when it comes to marketing, the world has changed. No longer is there just, which is why Matt says, hey, what's the best way to get a hold of you? You can call, text, Facebook Messenger. There's so many ways to get a hold of somebody right now. LinkedIn message, right? LinkedIn is the best B2B marketing tool that there is out there, hands down, right? There's so many conversations that start first in a LinkedIn message, then go over to email, because everyone's in it all the time. So you got to go where the people are. And I think that's a great testament to what you were mentioning before, as far as you got to start marketing properly and being able to be seen in all these places so that people can reach out to you. Because if they're not messaging you, they're messaging somebody else because they're there, right?
And to that note, part of what I do day to day, and we don't really dive into this, I work with a company called Lightspeed VT, where we help big public figure names create online courses, and it's a wonderful training system. And I have been fortunate enough to, lots of my clients are public figures, celebrities, social influencers, and I built that part of the business strictly through email.
Yeah.
People don't realize this. If I sat down and I said at ground zero, the way that I built this and attracted all these customers, over 20 celebrity clients that I have now, all through email to their management, to their agents, and then I would get them on the phone, and then I'd have to go into the sales conversation and the follow-up and all that other creative stuff. But to start off with, all email, nothing but, and it was effective, and it helped me build that part of my business. So,
awesome.
Right, text, emails, calls, anything, right? Snail mail, letters, I don't care, pigeons, send it, get it out, right? You never know what's going to work.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And by the way, you're in trouble, Manny, because now Dana put your number in the chat. So
it's good. Hey, it's good. All good things.
Bring it.
Well, I mean, God, there's so many. We're out of time, but there's so many other ways I wanted to go with, because when you started bringing up all the questions, because sometimes when I hear you talk, I'm like, man, he's just on a mental level, like up here. Sometimes but like, you're so good at asking those questions, because when you were asking the questions to the audience, I mean, some of that, it really is an art form, and it's a lot of it's learned, right? Like the right questions to elicit the responses, because we have MSPs dealing with customers who say they need to cut back on services. If you don't ask questions of why they need to cut back on the service, like really dive into the answer, you're just cutting services to cut services, and guess what? You'll never get that revenue back. So you really need to understand that. Again, too much areas to cover in one session, but God, man, we really appreciate you being part of this. Is
absolutely
really inspiration. I think you brought something that I don't think they've heard before, because I haven't heard it in the MSP space too much like this, and it really blended in with Terry. I think some of the psychology that he was talking about as well. So we certainly appreciate it. Andrew and I are going to stay on for a couple more minutes, just for some logistical things for everybody who's tuning in for the rest of the week. But again, Manny, thank you so much for appearing and putting this together with us.
I appreciate you both for having me. It's been an
Absolutely.
honor. Like I said, if there's more that I can do for you all in the future as a unit, individually, I'm happy to help, and I'm happy to pour into whatever I need to make the glass more than half full for you all.
Absolutely.
As
awesome.
And now that I know where you live, right in Aria, by the way, because
Right.
Can you guys see that?
I see that.
I live above the Vegas Strip, so it's beautiful.
If our event happens in August, it's actually going to be at Aria, so I'll owe you lunch.
Really?
Yeah, I'll owe you lunch if it happens.
I can literally walk out of my building,
Yeah.
so it's right in front of Aria. I walk out downstairs 10 feet to the right, and I'm in the front entrance of the Aria. So
Perfect.
There you go. Well, thank you so
man.
much, Manny. We
I have
really
a big
appreciate
I have a
it.
big appetite, Matt. So bring your checkbook.
No problem. All right, man. Thank you so much.
We'll talk soon.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
I love that, Matt. I think, I'm seeing a lot of the questions and the marks coming through. And I really do think that now more than ever, because the catapult of everyone needing to rethink, which is obviously the entire reason that we're doing this event, but the psychology of the sale is crucial. And I think everyone started to kind of touch on that about, we need to be helpful. We need to add value. We need to think about why they would trust our brand. Those are all 101 business development and marketing and sales tactics. It's not, and it's not even a tactic. It's just, you need to actually provide a product that you say you do, and then you need to actually deliver on it like you say you do, and be honest and trustworthy and have something of value, and on and on and on. And that is what it means to be out in the market. So I think that now everyone going, okay, I got to understand a bit more about myself, my business, my vision in order to be successful in this space is cool. So I think it's great that he was able to be on, and it sounded like everyone had some fun listening to him. So
yeah.
so
And
very cool.
I know I'm going to share my screen in a second, but I know Dana had one more poll for the day that she would love it if, we'd love when people participate.
Absolutely.
So, Dana,
She'll push that out. Awesome. So this is the last poll that we're going to do today. And I know I still see a few hundred of you on here. Respond to this. So right now we want to get a good idea. And again, we'll share out these survey learnings, because I think it's really important for you to understand where you fall in the space, as I mentioned before, and things to work on. So this one, as you can see, it's what ways have you shifted your strategy really due to COVID? So during this time, have you shifted at all? So are you spending more on advertising? Are you going after new types of business? Are you calling customers more frequently than you were before? Has there been a change in your messaging? Click around to the ones that you have done over this time, and we'll just get a feel for also to where you're at. And again, these polls help tailor some of the conversations that we're going to be having through the week as well. So definitely make sure that you're tuning in. And one of the things, as we're waiting to push out the actual results of this one, the idea behind, if you think that anything that you've heard today is not only beneficial to you, but if you think you've got MSP friends in your peer groups, and if you think that you've got others out there that could benefit, pop out and share something from today. Share just that you attended the event, you think there's some great information that others could. Again, this is not product centric at all. So there's no self-interest in here other than giving you information and getting it out there. So do hashtag PIVOT2GROW. You can absolutely put the link out there and just share, or even if you just share a quote you learned, anything that you can do to help others is awesome. So here's a quick look at the poll. It looks like the majority obviously have changed messaging, which makes perfect sense. There's been a lot of message changing through this process, having to be talking about, how can you help right now? Any pre-planned marketing needed to switch really, really quickly once this started. It looks like 42% of you are calling customers more frequently, which is awesome, because if you're not, you better believe that if you're not finding the time to keep in touch and stay really sticky, somebody else is calling them in their marketing strategy. So stay on it. And going after new types of businesses, 45% of you, awesome, diversifying and getting your portfolio to a good place. If you were big on restaurants, you might need to switch over and go somewhere else for the moment until that comes back. So that's good. And then spending more on advertising looks like 33% of you. I would expect that to look a little bit different by the end of this week. So we'll test back this poll, and we'll see, some thoughts towards the end of the week as well. So take us through the rest of tomorrow and then what we're looking at, Matt.
Yeah, so tomorrow got another great day. We're kicking things off with Samantha McKenna. So Samantha and I go back almost probably 10 years. And honestly, she's one of the best salespeople I have ever met in my life. And that's really why she was one of the first people I reached out to. She was one of the vice presidents of sales at LinkedIn and also on 24. So really prominent in sales in two really large social business type of offerings. And she's going to talk about 10 ways to win sales. I've seen her presentation online before, and it's just an amazing value add session that she's going to do first. And then the second one's kind of a combination of sales and marketing, but we have a worldwide audience here, but for many of you in the States, you may not have maybe not have heard as much from Paul Green and Fiona Chalice, but both are industry veterans in the MSP space. Paul Green focuses more on the marketing side. Fiona has a sales academy that she runs. So kind of bringing both of them together for a panel where we'll really flush out some kind of ideas of where marketing and sales are going as people, again, pivot, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We should have to donate to charity every time we say that word.
We should have like a quarter jar. So I think tomorrow looks awesome. It's going to be great. And one of the things I think is very cool, and it's been even motivating to me just to see, is there are hundreds and hundreds of you that are taking this very seriously, which I love. Like the participation on a Monday is amazing. And so I really, testament to you, and we're going to have a lot of great things coming. Matt's going to scroll through some of the others. So go for it, Matt.
Oh yeah, yeah. So just again, each day we're bringing the 2 hours of content. I know Andra, Tiffany, you've known for a while as well.
Yep, Tiffany Bova will be in. Many of you have seen her speak, but she's got some great books out all about growth, and she's obviously an evangelist of growth for Salesforce. Lots of very great content that she's going to come in and speak about on Wednesday. Followed up obviously by another just really cool sales session. Tim will be speaking. Many of you know Tim through the 20, and then Mark Elliott from 3i will be in and just chatting through how to just up your sales and tricks and tips that you can do there.
Yeah, and then kind of a secondary keynote speaker, we've got Jamie Shanks coming. He's done sales training for over 10,000 salespeople. I'll be myself, will be doing a presentation with my colleague Dan Tomaszewski. It's a fairly new version of a presentation. We've really honing in on virtual events to really provide you guys content, and we're really just sharing how other MSPs have already been doing things virtually, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, you can come up with creative versions of what it is, but we really just want to share what people have already been doing. Many of you have probably heard of the LinkedIn ladies through ID Agent. We've done 2 sessions with them already. We just get such incredible feedback, so we always want to bring them back. I'm telling you, they have just nugget after nugget of tips to utilize LinkedIn. I mean, Andrew was talking about it. Yeah, Andrew was talking about that earlier. And then, of course, the biggest CMO panel of the year.
Oh yeah, it'll be fun. We're gonna jump on together, and each of us individually, Crystal, obviously with the 20, Dana, ID Agent, and myself with Marketopia, we are in these marketing conversations daily with massive enterprises, obviously on the vendor side, as well as MSP. So we're just going to share some really cool things. We've got some special guests coming into that session. And then we also have Stay On for Friday. We're going to have a happy hour. And we've shared out some links, but we're going to have a very, very, very cool happy hour band come on, and you're going to see a little bit more there. So stay on. Lots of awesome things to come, and we really obviously appreciate all of you jumping on. Again, if you caught a nugget today that you think could benefit anyone else, even if it's one person, post it out there. If it was a quote from a speaker, if it was anything, one, it helps you get your LinkedIn presence. We're going to talk about that through this week, but it helps you get a voice out there. You need to become a thought leader. You can't just be consuming everyone else's content. You've got to push and get yourself out there too. So start doing that right now. In this week, put into practice the things that you're learning each and every day. So post something out there that was a quote you learned from Terry, Manny, maybe something that Matt said, and put it out there with hashtag PIVOT2GROW, and get others to jump on and learn too. So much more to come this week. We really appreciate all of you. And if you've got things that you want to ensure that we touch on or ask a speaker that's coming up, send it in. Send us a note. Email us, send us a message here in this chat, and we will absolutely ensure that it gets answered and that we weave it into conversations that are happening this week.
Yeah, and by the way, that happy hour is a kid-friendly, a family-friendly event.
It's family-friendly.
Yeah, we're bringing a band with the kids involved, and we've got a very special guest that your kids will absolutely love.
Yes.
And they have not seen in the MSP industry. So.
No, absolutely not. And I'll share with you really quickly. So we did a post about it, but the band is called the Quarantine Kids. And so it's a very cool story. We'll share more on Friday, but it's a gentleman who pivoted his business and it ended up going very viral, and has done actually like the Ellen Show and a couple other shows since then. And it's just been pretty neat to watch. And so again, this is all about pivoting your business and setting yourself up for success. So every single thing we talk about in here is all about that. So we want to hear from you, and we really appreciate you. So thanks for tuning in. Matt and I will see you tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time to hear a bit more.
All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you then. Bye.